following is a conversation about Kenyan jail. It was a sobering and difficult time as I ruminated on the works of Dostoevsky and Solzhenitsyn, waiting eagerly for my freedom. I will outline the events to you in this podcast. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you 4 days in Kenyan jail. So basically, guys, for 4 days, I was locked up in a cell in Kenya, and we're actually here in Dubai now. Thankfully, I'm a free man, and I'm going to recount the tale to all the loyal fans, everyone who's curious to hear about exactly what happened and how I found myself with my rights stripped inside of a Kenyan jail in Mombasa. So it all started, basically in Israel, I picked up a bullet cartridge. Actually, to this day, I'm not too clear on where I got it, but it's just an empty casing of like a rifle shell. And I had it in my bag. I basically forgot that I had it. And we're in the Mombasa train station on our way to Rwanda, and they scanned my bag and they saw something. They saw it, and it became a big deal very fast. Let's walk a little bit. You'll get to see the Dubai scenery, and I'll tell you all the details of what happened. So they find this in the train station, and it seems like it's going to be a very nonchalant thing. I'm really optimistic that they're just going to let me go and take the train after about an hour of questioning and realize that I'm, of course, an innocent man. Come, walk beside me. And what ends up happening is they're investigating me as being a potential terrorist. And they're interviewing me, and come to find out that, of course, my story is believable, and I'm showing them on my phone. I'm a world traveler, but the case is just too much for them. They're thinking, oh, you're trying to test our system. They don't believe me whatsoever, and it quickly escalates. And they take me from the train station. Now I'm in this anti-terror police unit investigation, and they bring me into the central station. And every day I'm thinking that this is going to be my last day in jail. It's just going to be a couple hours before they release me. But ultimately, they decided they're going to keep me overnight, complete the investigation. So they take me to, there's a lot of things I can say, guys, because it was a long time that I ended up staying in jail. They basically took my phone away from me, took my laptop, and threw me in a cell. It was about a 4-cell block. I had it all to myself, so thankfully there was no one there with me. I didn't have any Kenyan ass rape on the radar. And they're keeping me in the dark. I didn't get a chance to call my lawyer. But I quickly was able to tell my mom and a friend in Kenya about what was happening, and ultimately they did send a lawyer to me. And they take me to court the next day, because within 24 hours you need to report someone to court to keep them detained for longer than 24 hours. And they want to extend it for 3 days. Now, these 3 days would lead into Friday. And if it's last Friday past noon, then they get to keep me over the weekend. So it easily could have been 5 or 6 days. But instead, I was able to ultimately be released after a little over 72 hours on Friday. Now, throughout the process, there are a lot of interesting details, because it's very possible that they could have kept me for a lot longer than 3 days, because the Kenyan justice system is not like many Western countries where it's clear cut and your rights are obvious. Someone could have taken a win, wanted to get a win on me, to get some American guy, prove that he's a terrorist. They could plant something, they could put something in my phone. So there was always this thought in the back of my mind that this might happen. Now, ultimately, my lawyer comes to me, and he's the one who makes me aware of this, that the cops can be very crooked sometimes. So they file this extension to keep me for 3 days. I'm trying to get my lawyer to fight it, like at the very least, let me stay in a cottage nearby. I'll report to court, or I'll report to the police station whenever they want me, but I'm not a violent threat. And all of these investigators, they ultimately thought that I was a good guy, but they had a procedure to follow. So they did end up, it went through that they're able to keep me for 3 nights. And I learned after the fact that there was actually a bribe out for my release. So they're in contact with my law firm and my mom, telling her that for $1 million shillings, they'll let me out. I think that's like $8,000 US. But the problem with taking the bribe is that it opens the floodgates to corruption. And once they have a taste of it, they'll keep coming back for more. So ultimately it was good that we didn't take the bribe. But it was a nerve-wracking time, and at one point, so they have all my electronics, and I'm ultimately, these guards and investigators do like me. And at one point they come into my cell and they ask me, hey, can I have the password to your phone? And here I have to make a split-second decision. Like, am I gonna give these guys the password to my phone? You would think, like, if it's in the US, then you have your rights. And if you say no, then it doesn't change the outcome of the case. If you're allowed to say no, you can just say no. But in this case, I really needed these guys to like me. Because if there's gonna be some corruption from some of the higher officials, from some of the older guys, I want these guys to like me and to be able to say, guys, no, come on, let's not fuck this guy over. He's been good to us, we trust him, we like him. So I decided yes to give them the password to my phone, but at this point I still hadn't called my lawyer. So I figured they just have my phone kept at the police station, and I'll be able to access it if I want to make a call. So now I'm banging on the cell door after a couple hours because I'm regretting that I gave them my phone. And I'm saying, hey, come on, let me call my lawyer. I can't just be stuck in here in the dark. It's a very interesting dynamic that here I have these people who I'm ultimately against. I ultimately just want my freedom. But I have to play nice with them like they're on my team. But at the end of the day, it is me versus them. So I'm banging like, let me call my lawyer. Guard comes and tells me, oh, it's 4:30, everyone went home. And I said, well, just give me my phone. He said, no, your phone's on the way to Nairobi for forensic testing with the cartridge. And so I said, let me use your phone. He said, no, it's against the protocol. You're not allowed to use my phone. I said, let me use my laptop. Oh, we took your laptop back to the train station where it's safer so no one steals it. Because obviously cops can be crooked, they'll steal your things. So now I'm thinking, okay, my laptop's 30 minutes away at the train station. My phone's on the way to Nairobi. I've got nothing. This was the moment where I was the most irritated. But ultimately, in a couple hours, a lawyer arrived, an advocate arrived, because my mom and my friend Hugh behind the scenes had been working on it to help me out. Just continue this way. Maybe you can make sure everyone understands the full appreciation of my freedom here in Dubai. And after my lawyer arrived, I felt much, much better. So with him there, I was able to call my parents back home using his phone, and I think that really helped them a lot. My mom, I think, had it worse than me ultimately because she's in the dark, not knowing what my fate is, and understanding because of the research, access to her phone, she understands the plausibility of how easy it is for them to be corrupt, to screw me over, to keep me for 3 days, to turn into 5 days, to turn into a week, to turn into a couple months. I'm not going to go past a couple months, but honestly, like, if you look at it, Kenyan jail, white guy, potential terror suspect, it's not such a crazy idea to be able to keep someone for a couple months to do an investigation. And then, of course, they're going to send me to Mombasa Central. I'm going to get raped in the ass. I'll never be the same again. Right? Well, ultimately, it's not how it turned out, and many of the guards I became friends with. Actually, three of the guards took my phone number before I left. And all three of them texted me after the fact asking, hey, did you travel all right? Everything okay? And they were good to me. In the end, they were who they said they were. But when I first went to court within 24 hours, by the way, I'll overlay a picture of me in the courtroom that you obviously need to see. When I was in court after the first 24 hours, the prosecutors are trying to tell me, oh, don't waste your money on a lawyer. You don't need a lawyer. It's going to go through no matter what. We're going to be able to keep you for 3 days. We know how this works. And I'm thinking now I'm thinking for the first time, these motherfuckers are trying to get me. Because here they're trying to advise me not to take my lawyer, which I know is my only right that I have, is to have an advocate with me. And by the way, I met my lawyer the night before, but I didn't fully catch his name because he had a weird name, Heathcliff. And I didn't have his number. And they said we're going to court at 9 a.m. and they delayed it to 11 a.m. So here I'm thinking, these motherfuckers, they told my lawyer to meet at 9 a.m. They delayed it to 11 a.m. And now they're telling me, don't worry about your lawyer. You don't need him. So I have to say no. I want a new one. Find me some new lawyer here in the courthouse. I'm not gonna let these people fuck me over. They're playing good cop, bad cop against me. I'm getting in my head paranoid that now they're against me. So I find some other advocate, some other guy in the courthouse. I'm like, do you know Heathcliff? Because I finally remembered his name. And the other people, they're giving Heathcliff a call and he's not answering. He's like, oh, his phone's not answering. Well, Heathcliff has... Okay. Sorry. I can't take video at all? Okay. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We were told we had to stop recording over there. Don't need to be going to any more jails. So, continuing on here. Yes, so we're in the courtroom on the first day. I'm having a hard time getting in touch with my lawyer. So Heathcliff has 2 phones. They're calling the one that's off. I get another advocate. I said, do you know Heathcliff? He said, yeah, we know him. Gives him a call on his real phone. He finally shows up. Okay, boss, I'm there in 5 minutes. So he comes. He takes a stand to try to say this. Let's throw this shit out. They're telling the court that I'm a flight risk. They're telling the court that I'm potentially part of a terror organization. Want to do the full ballistics report. Anyway, the magistrate allows them to take the full 3 days. And well, it's ultimately good that Heathcliff arrived because he put up a fight, and that at least shows them that it's not going to be easy for them to screw me over. And Heathcliff ultimately did say that because my embassy was involved, because the U.S. Embassy has to give a report on my history, my potential terror links, because they're involved, it's going to be a lot harder for the Kenyan police to pull a fast one on me. It's going to raise too many eyebrows. They need good relations between the Kenyan police, the U.S. Embassy, etc. So ultimately, it was good that they were involved. But my mom was saying that even though she had full rights to learn about the case and call the embassy, that they were leaving her in the dark and they were giving false information, untrue information, saying I was released, or yeah, maybe they're going to keep him for a week. These things can change on the turn of a dime, and so they weren't being super helpful or encouraging to her. Yeah, let's continue this way. Well, ultimately, as you can see, it did turn out all right. Like I said, the guards were nice to me. There were no other people being kept in this anti-terror police station, and I was released on the 4th day. But I'll go a little bit into more of the dynamics of what it was like to be locked up. So yeah, in the end, they did their ballistics report. They found that the bullet had no recent residue on it, that it wasn't used in Kenya and it wasn't a Kenyan bullet. And they said they're done with me and he can be released. The magistrate goes, boom, okay, you can go. So in the end, it was as they said, but a little bit nerve-wracking until that moment, especially when you're left with the anticipation in the cell. And every day I think, maybe today's the day I'm going to be released, or I need to get more information, or now I'm waiting. I'm waiting for this ballistics report, just praying to God that they're going to say that there was nothing on it, which I know there's nothing on it, but at least to not get screwed over by corrupt officials. And this waiting game is torturous. I am a practiced meditator to some extent, and so you would think, well, while you're in jail, what else does one do but push-ups and meditation? But it's not so plain and simple, because meditation is an act of freedom. Meditation is an act that you do when you feel free in the world, so much so that you just want to reside within yourself and within the source of your freedom. And of course, that source of your freedom is to be found in any circumstance, but I promise you it is 100 times harder to do when you are confined to 20 feet of, not 20 square feet, more like 10 square feet of pacing. So there were transcendent moments, I will say, but it did not come easy. And really, it's a tough mental game. Now, I asked my lawyer to bring me a book. That helped a lot. And because I'm a traveler, I have a lot of items in my bag. So I had a lacrosse ball that one of the guards let me take out that I could throw against the walls, because I really couldn't see out of my block. It was just big concrete walls exposed to the elements, no air conditioning, no toilet, just a hole in the ground, no running water. They brought me buckets to pour on myself. They did let me get my shampoos out of my toiletry bag. And those were basically the conditions. It was very hot and it rained twice, and I had no sheet on the mattress, just a regular mattress. Thankfully I had a microfiber towel in my backpack that I just laid over the mattress. So many mosquito bites in a prevalent malaria spot, so now I'm on my malaria meds every day, just in case I contracted that, because I literally had hundreds of mosquito bites on me. And a lot of interesting things do go through your head. You put your life into perspective. I thought a lot about Hawaii, how beautiful it is. And I had to catch myself fantasizing, because I was fantasizing, you know what? Freedom is such a beautiful thing. And I'm someone, I don't take freedom for granted. I'm someone who appreciates just an aimless walk. Just to be able to walk like this, do nothing else but walk. I really appreciate that. I really take a lot of joy in that. And to have that taken from me, I was like, man, this shit is not for me. And I had a lot of admiration for people who are locked up and how they manage, and they tell these stories of great strength and courage. I was reading an article in the magazine that I had about Alexei Navalny and his book Patriot, which just got released. And I don't know how this guy had it. I mean, he has an iron mind to be able to willingly send himself back to the gulag effectively. And he ultimately, of course, died there. And he knew he was going to die there, but he did it anyway. So that's just crazy. I can't even fathom it. So yes, I'm fantasizing about Hawaii. I'm thinking, you know what, freedom, beauty, nature, sports, it's all so important. It's not even worth risking it. I'm just going to move to Hawaii, and I'm never going to leave. And everyone who wants to see me, they're going to have to come visit me, because I'm never leaving. I'm not taking the risk of dying anywhere else. I'm going to die in that beautiful place, and I'm going to enjoy my freedom all throughout. Of course, I'm just fantasizing, you know? And I have to think to myself, is it wrong to fantasize now? Because you're going to torture yourself because you're in a cell? Or is it actually a beautiful thing that you're able to project yourself into a different place, even when you're locked up? And the answer is that it's neither or both. It's all about your perspective on how you do it. And ultimately, it's nice to fantasize in a cell. Now, that's one thing. And on the other side of it, I had thoughts about how beautiful love is and community, and how maybe I have been closing myself off to community a little bit, when in reality this is just the most important thing in life. We think about a lot of material things, that we need to have our boat, have our house, be in our particular place, which is ironic as I'm talking about being in Hawaii, but that nothing really compares to community. Nothing really compares to being with people you love, where you exist in a mutually beneficial way and help one another to flourish. That this is, bar none, the most important thing in life. On top of that, I sang a lot. I did do a little bit of exercise, but you don't really want to expend too much energy when you're in the heat. And at first, they weren't giving me enough drinking water, so I actually had to ration my water until I was able to tell my lawyer, like, hey, just bring me 3 bottles of water, please. I'm not getting enough water here. They fed me decently, chapati and beans, pretty much like 3 meals a day. I like chapati, it's okay. Chai tea in the morning, I'll take that one. all in all, I wouldn't recommend it to a friend, but it's definitely something that will be a great story to tell throughout the rest of my life, but also something that had a silver lining, that I did learn a lot about myself and what's important in life. I was pretty sick a few weeks prior in Kenya, and ultimately I believe that it was worse to be sick than to be in jail, that nothing's worse than having your health taken from you. I wanted to be home more than anything when I was sick. In jail, I never thought I want to go home right now. I just thought I can't wait to get out and go to Nepal, continue my journey, get to Asia, be free to travel and explore again, and continue the journey. And so many things, but I think that's ultimately a pretty good recap. It is pretty surreal saying now, a few days after the fact, in Dubai, where everything seems to work, things are safe. I feel back in the first world with familiar brand names, etc. But truly, just a few days ago, I had nothing but my thoughts and my wishes and dreams. And I'm not sure that I can say I'll be going back to Kenya anytime soon. As much as a good time that I did have on the beach, maybe a little bit paranoid from that one, but I hope you like the story, and everything I said is true. And now we'll continue the journey, finish up in Dubai, head to Kathmandu. 4 days, Kenyan jail.